Good evening and welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Tonight you're going to be watching to see Boise State compete in ABC Overwatch against UW Stout. It's going to be a great match as we're getting late into the season. These matches are getting more and more difficult for Boise State. And calling all the action for you on the desk, I'm Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by my friend Andrew Brenner. Brenner, here's the thing that I want to kind of talk about is the fact that UW Stout is a top 32 team in Overwatch. And Boise State, the record's been getting shakier for them ever since they've kind of gotten into sort of these final rounds.
Yeah, we've struggled with a lot of these higher-end teams very famously around here. We know Northwood is kind of the big bad. So getting into, like you mentioned, these top 32 teams, the pressure is on here. And when we've casted them in the past, we need to work on our team play as well as the communication, as they can get kind of flustered after losing some possible 1v1s of just being upset. So you got to keep those comms clear and win these team plays, because we know we have fantastic individual plays, but getting into these high-end matches, you got to have it all.
Well, we'll see how Boise State indeed does. We can, of course, remind people of the overall how the ABC Collegiate Overwatch works, just kind of an offshoot of what we used to call TESPA. And in ABC Overwatch, it's a little bit different since these matches tend to be a little bit faster than the ones in the other tournaments. This is a best of 3 in ABC Overwatch. So Boise State could close it out pretty early. We're just going to have to see. I don't know if we haven't necessarily seen it go to a Game 3 in the ABC Overwatch matches. It's been 2-0 for the season, I believe.
Yeah, especially with these higher-end matches, if a team is being the dominating force, they're just going to clean sweep it 2-0s, as you mentioned, so consistently. And also, we have a lot of these matches as we head over to the Doc's Keys of the Game.
Well, Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch is never to take a fair fight, and that means to take fights in unexpected places when your opposing team is unprepared, and of course take advantage of any tempo that you can get. Those are Doc's keys to the game, brought to us by Drop In Gaming. And if you are looking for any sort of opportunity to compete for players who seek competition, and you can play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournament, whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. Begin your competitive gaming journey. Sign up at dropingaming.com. Okay, as you can hear from Doc talking in the background, we are just about ready to get into this match. Now, once again, to recap, it is a best of 3. The specific modes that we are going to see is Control, Hybrid, and Escort. So shout out to ABC for just taking Assault out of the equation completely. We don't have to worry about that tonight. But we are going to be starting on Busan, kind of the second most map that we've seen in Control, aside from Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, we see Busan more and more the higher level we get with these teams. And so going into this fight, it's going to be about where you take the first fight, because we know it's all about, from Doc's Keys, you want to win the first fight because that definitely helps the ball rolling in your side and gets you the ult advantage because you have those eliminations. And it's also going to be eyes on the Lucio of where they take this fight. Hey, because we could see Sim Brawl on this map because we know it's a favorite strategy, as we can't really see the roster of either side. So I'm very curious what they might try to combat it with, as we're also going to see a Wrecking Ball from either side. So it seems both teams are going for the very high speed, high damage output compositions.
Oh yeah, we see Boise State, their tank loves to play on a Wrecking Ball. Might trying to be going for this flank here. We've seen it multiple times, but it's going to be Gob actually who gets the first pick along with Kel and Chosen. Boise State just looks to do a clean wipe against UW Stout right off the bat, and that's it. We're just starting with the Boise State ace on the first fight.
Yeah, having Gob in that backline is exactly what you need, because they weren't even watching it. That is something we drill in whenever we play Siege. Just watch your behind, and it's simply they did not have it. They need that team communication of, hey, there's a soldier in our backline that just eliminated me, and it seems that UW Stout did not have that. So going to this next team fight, I definitely expect to see them play a lot closer together, as they're already turning around, taking out Gob.
Well, that's a good pick there. They were more aware of that flank, so Mr. Rickles getting the first pick onto Gob. We're going to see how they push forward. Looks like they're going to continue up mid, but look at Plato. He's already in their back line. If Gob isn't going to flank you, Plato certainly is on that Wrecking Ball, and he's already taken out their Ash, evening it up for Boise State. Now with Gob respawn, Maxo already having built built up the pulse bomb. A nice rock onto Cheddar is going to take him out. Boise State holding this point successfully so far. Look at Tubinator, though, getting the other pick onto Gob. Pulse bomb is only going to take out that immortality field. Boise State still managing to go past 50%. Looking like this hold is going to be successful for the time being as UW Stout goes for what looks like a soft reset.
Yeah, these long team brawls is exactly what you see as Kel gets the 2-piece as well.
Well, here goes Kel again. Look at Plato again now. He loves to do this. You're going to see with this minefield, he's going to try to drop it right at the perfect choke point to try to bring UW Stout's health bar to kind of live up to their name, to make them nice, short, and stout, if you will. But here we go. We're going to see how much damage can be put onto them. Plato still looking for his opportunity, but we also see that another minefield has been brought up by Dirkman here. So we're going to see what Wrecking Ball's doing right now as they're looking for the perfect time to use this. Here he goes. He's found it. He goes into the back line, slams down, and puts down the minefield. A Bob is going to be brought out in response. There goes UW Stout's minefield as well, and it's going to get more mileage, taking out Kel and Plato. Boise State's tanks are down, and with that front line gone, UW Stout takes the point with 97% already charged for the Broncos.
Yeah, Gob on that Widow was able to get that kind of last pick elimination, but then gets taken out by Turbinator. So, this Widow not getting the value you want to see from Maxwell on this Tracer, even going to use the Pulse Bomb.
Well, that Mr. Rickles has really been the person to kind of get these picks at an inopportune time for Boise State, making them wait just a little bit longer. Now that Maxwell has respawned, Boise State is going to plan their next move. Now, in terms of ultimates, that Boise State is doing really well right now, and they're going to start out with that rally, but it's not going to be enough to protect you from Mr. Rickles. He is just the terror of flanks right now for the Broncos. Are they going to continue their push? They are going on to the point, going to try to take it away. They're going to be met with the Gravitic Flux brought out by Cheddar. One for Broncos still hasn't been used yet. Turbinator has been taken out by Maxwell. Chosen as well, taking out Sockby. That's both the supports down for UW Stout. And when you don't have healing, your members fall one after the other. Gob and Kel taking out one, followed by Maxwell. And Boise State takes the point. I don't know if UW Stout is going to be able to get to the point in time. We'll see if they can. No, they can. And Boise State gets the first win.
Yeah, Gob swapping over to the Hanzo from the Widowmaker definitely helped them win that final fight as they had control of the point for so long. UW Stout just could not get back onto the point in time. As we take a quick look at this replay of this first team fight that Boise State won so early on with Gob in the back line and both Kel and Chosen eliminating the DPSs. UW Stout could not beat them at their own game until Mr. Rickles came online with that Tracer.
Well, now the main thing about Mech Base is trying to make your way through these narrow hallways. Once you win that first team fight, you love to make space and just go right up to those hallways, throw those CC ultimates in them, and just prevent the other team from getting into the point. So these first fights are very crucial to see who is going to get dominance in this overall map. It looks like UW Stout is taking the fight right to Boise State right here on their side of the play field. Boise State throwing up the May walls. We see Maxwell is swapped over to the May. Gob now on the Symmetra. It looks like actually we have a mirror match between both teams right now, as the Ryan Diva composition is going to be brought out. Still very brawly composition. Maxwell getting the first pick onto Dregman right there. Crucial front line taken out for UW Stout, followed by Turbinator there. Gob and Maxwell doing great work on this DPS. Gonna take the Diva out of their mech. Gonna cryo just to make sure they survive and take the first point in a very clean fight.
Yeah, UW Stout definitely messed up that May wall, was not able to split up the members of Boise State, and then Maxwell on their own May was able to block off their own escapes. So when the Bent Up had their own May wall back, the teleporter was already set up so they could just teleport to the other side and eliminate the very low health members of UW Stout that was remaining. And so with that Photon Barrier coming up next, that's something I want to keep an eye out for the side of UW Stout.
Well, trying to make some space for themselves, they're going to throw out the Photon Barrier, but Kel still takes out Drakeman as UW Stout's Reinhardt is eliminated. Now there's no more Photon Barrier. Gob is going to have one in tow instead. So now we move on. We're going to see what route UW Stout takes. Boise State is able to transport so quickly with these teleports that no matter what UW Stout chooses, Boise State is right in their face as the Amp Matrix is burned off from Turbinator. Not going to get too much mileage. Gob uses his Photon Barrier. UW Stout has found a way to push out. They're also using their Shatter, but look at that Blizzard being eaten by Shatter. That huge CC ultimate is not going to work for the Broncos, so Plato has to expend his Shatter instead. Look at Gob and Keldo fighting back, and it looks like they are still going to keep UW Stout from getting to the point despite that Blizzard being thrown out. We'll see how the May Diva Bomb does. No demos off of that self-destruct, but you got to hand it to the Broncos. Even if these fights are very long, they're managing to stagger them out and keep that timer ticking up on the point.
Yeah, even if Kel was not able to eat that Blizzard, he managed to stay alive, regroup with Chosen, and use that Amplification Matrix to quickly take out the Symmetra as the sound barrier comes out.
Diva Bomb not going to get anyone from Boise State. They are still in control of the point, if you can believe it or not, and they're taking out Cheddar right now. We hear another Amp Matrix has already been charged up by Turbinator, and there goes the car wash right onto him, going to be taken out by that turret. There goes the Photon Barrier up from Mr. Rickles, trying to make some sort of space for UW South to push on. Gop's going to say, that's a great idea, I'm going to throw out my Photon Barrier as well. So now this is split right down the middle of the point. UW South currently has a few more members, went very low on health for a lot of their members, managed to heal up with the exception of Mr. Rickles and Dregman. There goes Plato with his Shatter. It is an insane fight right now. And look at Kel on the Baby Diva main skills on the point, still managing to hold it as the Broncos have gotten up to 99%. That is a great Blizzard also taking a rid of bent up Turbinator, and Boise State, through a huge long fight, has managed to win control. Oh my goodness, that was such a fight.
That was a brawl the whole time, and even in between hours in 4x Doc, these are peak sweaty comms from both sides. We even have a t-shirt to match as player of the game goes over to Chosen from this first team fight. But there's so much to break down in this first map of Control in this best of 3 that Boise State did so well, but at the same time UW Stout did so well. We saw in Mecha Base that they even got the freeze off onto Plato mid Shatter, so he was not able to get that through. So I'm very excited to see on this next map.
Well, one of the proud sponsors of Boise State Esports is the Idaho Army National Guard, and they invite you to take your critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. So now, Brenner, I know that before this match, you were doing the high school showcase, and we saw a lot of fights like that. But before we do that, we just want to remind you of Boise State's opening lineup brought to you by Count. Count Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. There go the opening lineup: Plato, Kel, Gob, Maxwell, Chosen, and a large bagel. And as I was saying, Brenner, this reminds me a lot of some of the fights that we saw in that high school showcase you were just hosting. Some really intense brawls just going way into the minute category for how long these fights last.
Yeah, it's definitely how us as casters lose our voices of these just non-stop brawls. I want to say it's like quick match, but it's just too high level of play to attribute it to that. And I also want to point out that we have sweaty comms.
Always great. Doc just unexpectedly throws that on the desk, and I'm like, what is this? But I guess he knows he's always up to date on the trends and looking for stuff to make into merchandise. So great t-shirt all around. The Broncos are going to be going to match point here.
Yeah, so the pressure is definitely on here for both teams, and especially in this high-level play, going up against, as you mentioned, a top 32 team and going over to the hybrid, which we can 99% bet that it's going to be the Kings Row as well. I'm definitely curious if both teams are going to continue with this mirror match, as Boise State took it away in that mirror match on Mecha Base. So the pressure's on for UW Stout, as we see it's on Kings Row. There's a lot we can break down here because it's all going to come down to both the DPS players of the Cassidy and the May, because they are the two vital picks we see. We can sub out with the Echo and the Far occasionally, but the Cassidy and the May are definitely the meta right now.
Well, like you said, there's a lot to break down. We're going to take a minute or two to just gather our thoughts before we head into the second fight. So we're going to take a short break and be back. Can Boise State win their match in ABC Overwatch? Find out after this.
NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You're joining us back in our coverage of the ABC Overwatch Collegiate Homecoming. We just saw the Broncos get a win on map number 1. The losing team will now get a choice on Hybrid, which is UW Stout. They chose Kings Row. And so now we're going to jump back into it. I'm still your host, Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by Brenner Bear-Ladd. Now, just to we kind of mentioned this toward the end of the season. We're actually getting into the postseason right now. This is the top 32 teams in groups of 4. So Boise State has their match right now against UT Stout, and Maryville is also in our group. So if Boise State wins this, if Maryville wins their match, we could see that matchup later tonight. So a lot of very exciting stuff to get into. But Brenner, I know Doc was talking to you a little bit about that t-shirt he gave to you, Sweaty Comms. Why don't you just go over that very fast as we are ready to jump into Kings Row?
Yeah, so comms is definitely one of the most important things about the high-level skill play that we do. So Sweaty Comms is definitely something that I can take into account, and so can the Overwatch players. It's a shirt we give out to all of our players that come here because it is such a key phrase that we use all the time of, in this high-level plays, we're going to have Sweaty Comms. You got to know when to speak and when to not. You have to call out when you died, where they were, and then that's it. You can't get angry. You can't, make jokes all the time because this is serious play. We're here to win and show why we are in the top 32 with all these other teams. And so definitely coming at it from like the Siege perspective, you have to know when to talk because you're listening for footsteps. That's the same thing with Overwatch. You have to be able to say who used what's abilities, who's left alive, and if you died, where'd you die from, and who killed you. So it is all about the communication that we try to put so much emphasis on, and I know Doc does as well.
Well, now here we go. Boise State, if they are still in the blue, are going to be defending first with UW Stout. Now going to bow on attack. That's a great Maywall. They were trying to go up through theater, and Boise State's going to put an end to that right now. So they're going to force them to go through the gate around the statue here. We'll see how that works out for UW Stout. Boise State ducking in right now. We do see a swap be brought out. Looks like looks like Chosen has been swapped out for Nerdy. Other than that, composition is still the same. And right now, that is a great pick up right now by Sockby. That looks like a swap in for UW Stout. He's been able to take out Gob. Large Bagel also eliminated by Dirkman, with Turbinator also eliminated by Cal. That looks like, I was going to say it looks like they were going to get to the point, but they took a while, a lot longer than I thought after that fight to actually get to the point.
Yeah, Boise State might have the chance to re-engage here if they're able to get a solid engagement, because already UW Stout is down the Tracer, but they have that amplification matrix, so the Maywall is going to have to go up to counteract it. And there goes the Blizzard to kick things off.
Boise State goes back onto the point right now, but they're fading a lot of damage right now. Terminator taking Cal out of his mech. Also, that protection for UW Stout with that Transcendent. Going to make it very hard for Boise State to get the picks they need. Only Goff has gotten one onto Mr. Rickles, but with Maxwell and Cal falling, it looks like this re-engage isn't going to work out for the Broncos, but that's still 30 more seconds. They burned off the timer for UW Stout to take the point.
Yeah, burning anything you can is definitely what you want to see, but they still got 5 minutes on their end, as well as the Mines and Gratific Flux and Bob coming online. So this next fight is going to be very key for Boise State, as they only have the amplification matrix. They do have a couple ults at 70%, but having such an early elimination onto Plato, as they took so much space, is not what you want to see.
Yeah, we're seeing some really crazy flanks in this fight. Now Plato has respawned. We'll see how soon he can get back up to the other Broncos. Right now, Gob and Maxwell are just kind of peeking out, trying to get any sort of snipe that they can, fighting with UW Stout's DPSs as well. But here we go. We're getting close to the first checkpoint. This is going to be the fight for Boise State. Kel going up into the high ground, trying to knock the Wrecking Ball down. I see Skulls and right in the face of Dreckman. Gob just uses the Deadeye and takes him out. Now we'll see if Boise State can keep the momentum going as they throw down their Amp Matrix. Large Bagel does, but Bob is going to do great work from Unknown, taking out Nerdy Bird. Gob manages to take out Unknown, though, take out Bob. So now it looks like we are one down in this fight. Nerdy has respawned, should be able to get back to this point. There's a nice shatter being brought out by Plato. We also see an Amp Matrix being brought out there. And look at Unknown taking out Plato. Also, that Blizzard was stopped from Maxwell. So great play from UW Stout. They're doing a good job at negating some of Boise State's ults.
Yeah, Cheddar being able to eat up that Blizzard definitely helped them secure that fight after the Shatter did not land as well, because Boise State members were not there to be able to get those eliminations. So now with the swaps coming out from Boise State, with Plato now on the Orisa, Maxwell on the Torb, and Gob on the Ashe, hopefully these swaps will be able to make the difference for UW and get the elimination on these Ashe, but it was not able to do so for Kel. So now it is just a tank brawl of exchanging damage.
Well, the good news for Cal is a lot of that damage pushed out, allowing him to charge up that self-destruct, which didn't take out anybody. But right now, Cal is still going to manage to claim the high ground, push that Ashe off of there. Gob, speaking of Ashes, is able to take out Sockby there. Transcendence brought out by Terminator, trying to keep UW Stout alive. And in the same vein, Nerdy Bird uses that beat to try to keep their teammates alive. And now Boise State does look like they are managing to hold UW Stout with Nerdy. Look at that double there, taking out Terminator and Mr. Rickles, and a boop off the edge too onto Dirkman. Talking about your supports coming in clutch for you. Great double by Nerdy.
Yeah, Boise State was able to get their refrags and burn multiple ults from UW Stout. So now, not having that Transcendence going into this next fight, they don't have anything to hard deny the Bob coming out for this next fight. Same with the Amplification Matrix on both sides, but UW Stout has the mines on their side, so Boise State's going to have to play a little bit more split so those mines don't get as much value.
Well, look at Plato getting the pick onto Terminator. Mr. Rickles also taken out as well. He's kind of been a key flank for UW Stout, so getting him out of the picture is great for the Broncos to hold this. Boise State, Gob has managed to charge up his Bob. Plato also getting that supercharger already. Maxwell's also very close to that Molten Core. We'll see UW Stout, though, who's done a great job in saving up their ultimate, so Boise State is going to have to be ready for a lot in this next fight. Bob is brought out, supercharger, Gravitic Flux, and Amp Matrix as well. Everyone's pressing their cues, and there goes Dirkman dropping that minefield as well, and some trades being gone back and forth, but Plato with the double is keeping it even for the Broncos, who are managing to hold on. Kel is taken out of their mech and eliminated by Mr. Rickles, but some great play by Plato is keeping the Broncos in this fight. There goes the Molten Core, charged up by Maxwell's going to put it all over the point, and it doesn't hurt when your turret also manages to pick up one for you as well. Terminator has been able to charge this Transcendence so fast, by the way. Seems like he has it every other engagement. There goes Large Bagel dropping his Amplification Matrix. Boise State now going back just a little to try to stay alive, trying to keep this payload from moving on to that final checkpoint. Kel's going to go up trying to take someone out from the high ground. Right now, this has been such drawn-out fights from the Broncos.
Yeah, these long fights have just been charging the ults so much. It's not really good for either side, but at the same time, Boise State has been winning the fight, so it's clearly working out for them. But UT Stout needs to deal with this turret if Mr. Rickles is going to be able to get the value he so needs, because the turret's been eliminated so early on, and losing your main tank like that such early on in the fight is just buying Boise State more and more time. Just now passing the 2-minute mark for UT Stout, you have to take a look at their ults going into this next fight. They are down ults, and Nerdy swapping over to that Mercy with the Valkyrie is going to be able to even get the res off. So it is on the pressure of UT Stout to be able to recognize the possible win condition of Boise State around that res, as well as the Bob starting off this fight.
Yeah, Gob's going to bring out Bob. There goes the pulse bomb out for Mr. Rickles. Isn't going to get anything. Nerdy Bird using that Valkyrie. Amp Matrix thrown down by Sockby. There goes self-destruct out from Kel. Not going to get anybody, but create a little bit of space for the Broncos. We do hear that Gravitic Flux being used by Cheddar as well. Terminator with a great pick onto a Large Bagel. These picks one by one from UW Stout. See seem to be winning it for them, but look at Gob with a double, is trying to make a fight out of it. He actually, one of those was Bob, but he managed to take out Drakeman as well. There goes the Molten Core from Maxwell, gonna say, you do not get to go anywhere near this payload, but with the Transcendence, Terminator says, yeah, I am, and I'm gonna drive it into the final parking space as well, but Kel is managing to contest it with the Pilot Diva, no less. Gonna be slammed down there by Drakeman, going on to the point, taking out, now it's only Plato with one final defense, and that is, all things considered, a great hold for the Broncos, because UW South had 5 minutes when they first took the point.
Yeah, it was a hard defense, and I definitely think UT Stout made some critical errors there when they took such a early lead after capping the point. They eliminated Platos early on, but they only had one person on the cart the whole time, even when they weren't fighting. They could have pushed that cart so much quicker and had a time advantage. So I definitely think that is a major communication error on the side of UW Scout. So going into this next fight, it's all in Boise State attack. So going against the UW Stout defense, we haven't seen them run the more traditional team comp on this map yet, or Boise State for that matter, which is the May Cassidy, because Gob on this Torb is a love of his, and it's hard for him to split apart from it. So especially now with Nerdy swapping over on the support role back on the Mercy from those quick little silhouettes, I'm curious if they might go for a Mercy combo play.
We're going to have to see what comps are brought out. It's interesting seeing Torb with that Molten Core. Remember when Molten Core used to just upgrade the turret to like a level 3, and it was like such a bizarre ultimate.
Waiting to play TF2 in Overwatch, but they made that distinction, so it's totally fine. And then I'm waiting to see if they even will rework him for Overwatch 2, but we'll have to wait and see, seeing as that game's not coming out for another 10 years at this point. So we already do see Boise State scouting with that Widowmaker as well. So now with UW Stout on the defense, we can see that they're sticking to that SIG, and it looks like Gob's gonna go for the Pharmacy combo, and Maxwell's sticking to that Widow as well. So we need to see these picks in order to get the value that we want to see from a Sniper as well.
Well, Gob, talking about Snipers, taking a lot of damage from UW Stout, no doubt Unknown pushing a lot of damage onto Gob. Has managed to heal back out and took out Unknown from that purge. That is the green light for the Broncos to move in. They are facing Drakeman, though, trying to get a flank. He is not going to be taken out, but takes enough damage so that he has to move out and heal back up. Look at Gob taking out Cheddar as well. He's doing a great job getting the mileage that you were talking about, Brenner, for this far Mercy. Now Boise State looks like they're managing to take the point in their first fight. They've already gotten 2 ticks there, and a successful res from Nerdy onto Gob is going to most assuredly allow Boise State to get the point with more time than UW Stout has.
Yeah, UW Stout was not ready for the Pharmacy combo, as Unknown had to swap over to the Cassidy, but it was quickly eliminated by Plato here. So now Boise State can take the space and quickly get back. Having that flying verticality is so key here with the Pharmacy, and now with Kel over on the Sigma, they do have that shield potential as well as the eating ult potential in case UW Stout goes over to the May, and especially with Mikkel Rickles having the Pulse Bomb, all eyes are going to be on Kel to try to eat as many ults as possible, and losing Max ult is not how you want to start this next team fight.
Yeah, Terminator has been such a great, look at that, a double, taking out the front line of UW Stout. And Boise State is going to use that to continue moving forward. Seems like they're moving the payload a little bit faster, but I have to say Terminator has been such an insane zen, getting so many picks right when Boise State, it would be kind of inconvenient for them. Speaking of Zen, though, Large Bagel has charged up their Transcendence. Looking on these flanks for Mr. Rickles, is going to catch him out and leave him to deal with Plato. Right now, Mr. Rickles taking on a lot of damage. Is going to be able to survive and get out of that predicament? It looks like now Boise State goes into their next team fight as Transcendence and Amplification Matrix is dropped by UW South, but a Large Bagel and Kel are plowing through that, taking out Sockby and Mr. Rickles. Boise State, one after the other, now takes out Terminator, and Boise State moving toward the checkpoint now. Looks like they have this team fight all wrapped up. Just need to take out Drakeman there. That minefield was also used by Plato, taking out Cheddar. Also Accretion eliminating Unknown, and Maxwell picking up the pieces, getting rid of Drake. Boise State looking really good in their attack.
They really did. They had Maxwell in the back lane harassing the healers for as long as he could. We saw Plato with the mines in the middle of that fight try to split them up the best they could. And UW's own Mr. Rickles was completely split from the team. UW is playing very not together as they should, and with kind of a split team comp right now with both the Baptiste and the Cassidy and the Zenyatta being the very slow ones, and then they have 3 really fast ones. Being as split as they are, Boise State is capitalizing on how split they are.
And using that Transcendence to try to take out that minefield. There goes the Deadeye from Unknown. Isn't going to get anybody. Instead, he's just going to get an old-fashioned elimination onto Plato. Look at that barrage, though, from Gob, trying to make some space, but ultimately isn't going to get anyone as eliminated by Sockby. Now Nerdy is not going to use the res quite yet. It was just too much pressure from UW Stout. If that res had gone through, it would have been countered immediately.
Yeah, we saw them try to fly away, but actually just flew to the body right in front of them, which got them killed with only that 36 life remaining. So it looks like Boise State's going to go for a little bit of a swap with now Maxwell on the Torben, Gob on the Ash with a large bagel on the Baptiste this time around, but UW's going to kick things off with the self-destruct.
Only going to take out the Immortality Field, but I like the combo with the Halt that was brought out. There goes the Amp Matrix thrown down by Sockby. Nerdy Bird using the Valkyrie. Kel looking not to get pushed off the edge here. Now here comes the Gravitic Flux. Is it going to get anybody? It does look like it does get a few members of UT Stout, but there goes Turbinator using that Transcendence again to keep his teammates alive. There goes another minefield being brought out by Drakeman, already getting Nerdy, and Plato also eliminated by Unknown. Boise State looks to be in the same position that UW Stout had when they got to this point, having a really hard time putting it away.
Yeah, they started off that fight well. They even had the Gratific Flux, which forced out the Transcendence from UW. But it was simply not enough as they still had the mines online and split up multiple members, and then they ended up chasing the Wrecking Ball as the main tank is not what you want to see because they weren't able to get enough damage to eliminate him. And so now with both the Orisa and Sig here, they do have the ult advantage going to this next fight, but Nerdy swapped over to the Brig as the Mercy was not getting any of the value you want to see from a Mercy, especially this late on, not having a Pharah or Echo to fly to. But a good start for this fight.
Maxwell's going to have something to even keep that good start going. Large Bagel using that Amp Matrix. We hear the self-destruct. Boise State ducks for cover and is able to dodge it. Now Gob taking out Sockby. They're continuing on their good fight here, and they're going to throw out the Molten Core as Maxwell does. We'll see how that does, pushing them off of the point. Cal using that Accretion, taking out Unknown, and Plato also dropping the Supercharger, pushing so much damage. It's going to use that Halt to try to drag UT Stout back into the hallway. UT Stout is going to wait until they have a full team. We hear Bob being brought out by Gob, and the Transcendence being used by Turbinator. Look out for that Deadeye, though. He knows where it is, but it doesn't look like it's going to get anybody. And there goes a Gravitic Flux just charged up. That is going to take out Sockby and Turbinator with no more supports. It looks like Boise State is going to be able to take this third point, as it is going to be a stagger now and a team kill at that. What a way to end it with a Bronco ace. And Boise State is going to be looking into overtime with a good time advantage.
Yeah, they got double the time, and Gob was having a field day in the backline, uncontested for so long because the two frontline tanks were able to deny that Wrecking Ball from getting in the backline. Transcendence trying to keep as many alive, but simply just line-of-sighting the Deadeye shows why it is one of the worst ults out there right now. Oh, and even getting the elimination with the Gratific Flux onto the healers, losing that Baptiste definitely was the downfall of that fight. And the Zenyatta Bap combo was not working for UW. They needed to change up their comp like Boise State was so consistently. They needed to recognize that they weren't winning team fights enough and needed a change.
Alrighty, taking a little bit of a breath there. UT Stout going to be on attack first in this overtime. They are just going to have 1 minute, nothing more, to push on to the point. So they're going to have to probably win this first fight and then hold on to that payload for dear life.
Yeah, it's all going to be about the team fight and not so much the individual plays, hopefully, that we've seen from both teams. They do have the strong individual players, but UW is just playing too solo right now. They need to have the solid team push, which is what got them the control point the first time round. Whereas if they keep playing the Tracer and the Wrecking Ball and the Diva where they can dive off and then they leave both supports and their other DPS all alone, they will lose the team fight because that just leaves them so exposed for both Gob and Maxwell to just have a field day with damaging them.
Well, from what I can see, it doesn't look like they're going to listen right now too much to your advice, but we'll see how sticking on this tracer for Mr. Rickles is going to work out. Gob throws out a bit of dynamite. Boise State keeping the high ground right there. And a nice pick by Kel onto Unknown is going to make UW South's overtime a lot harder right now. We're going to see how they do. Sees Mr. Rickles in the back line. Nice call out from Axel, who has swapped out over to the Hanzo. So kind of a really long-range DPS that has been brought out just to pick them out one at a time. Seems to be working really good for the Broncos. They have pushed UW South down to just 10 seconds left. Can they even get to the point? They're going to try to push all at once, but there's the pick by Plato. That's going to make it so much harder for UW South to get their presence. And Gob has managed to charge up Bob. I am sure Boise State keeps them from even one tick, and that is a great start to their overtime, getting that ace.
Yeah, as soon as they lost that Baptiste, it was all for Boise State getting the ace as well. Well, Maxwell, we were watching him the whole time just raining arrow after arrow into the tanks of UW. They just simply did not have the shielding in order to deny double sniper defense, and they never even went to contest the high ground, so they were just walking through the trenches getting constantly gunfire down on. So now with the Boise State attack coming up, if they contest high ground, they can easily take this, especially since they have double the time allotted to UW.
And as we said at the very beginning, this is only best of 3 instead of kind of standard best of 5 in a lot of the other tournaments. So Boise State has the chance to win this right here, go on to their next match of the night. We will see what team it is. We were kind of expecting Maryville to be someone who Boise State meets, but we're going to find out how that other fight in the group of 4. Remember, it's top 32 teams in best of 4s fighting right now. So Boise State has definitely made their way into a very exciting, I suppose it is kind of the playoff part of the season right now. So we are going to see how they do. Just waiting for them to start here.
Yeah, so it's all going to come down to the team composition here for both sides, because we've seen so much of the Sig Orisa, yet that did not just work for UW. So now on the defense, they need to hopefully have a change-up, and it looks like they do with the Wrecking Ball Sig this time around. It looks like Boise State's going to match that, but this time Boise State does have the Pharah, so they will be able to contest the high ground more successfully than the UW defense, and they have the Pocket Mercy as well. So all eyes are going to be on Unknown to try to contest this, as he will be the main person to. Same with the Zenyatta.
Remember, Boise State only has to get 1 tick here, so looks like they're just going to go right to the payload and start that charging right now. Just try to make the pressure. Look at Goff just going right into the hallway, taking out Turbinator. Mr. Rickles also eliminated right now. The Broncos look like they're well on their way to taking this, moving farther on in the playoff. They are just about halfway to getting to that first tick right now. Still contested as Unknown is eliminated. Managed to take out Nerdy Bird, but the Broncos still have enough of a presence. They just got to take out that Sig, and anyone else who goes on the point, and they have it. The Broncos win their match against UW South and are moving on in the playoffs.
That's the exact team play and communication you want to see from these high-level teams in the top 32, who Boise State knew their win condition and applied to it. They knew that they had to go straight for the high ground, and we saw that from Gob's perspective with the Pharmacy combo, but it looks like the play of the game is going to go over to Unknown on this Cassidy.
Yeah, but that's not going to be much of a solace when you have been knocked out of the tournament. But great job to UW South. We had some really fun team fights in that, and it can only get more exciting as the Broncos move on. But as we said, the Broncos, having made it to the top 32 teams, have won their first match of these playoffs. They're going to be going up against the other team that won in their group of 4. So we're going to be seeing how that turns out, who they go up against very soon here. But any final thoughts on that first match of the night, Brenner?
Definitely a great first showing of the night, because as you mentioned, we do have the another match after this of a team who also just won against the top 32 team. So the pressure is on for sure, and we can only stress how much, since the shirt is sitting next to me, of the importance of these sweaty comms, because calling out your targets and knowing what the win condition is and letting your team know all the information that you can provide, especially having the Pharmacy combo of having that aerial view, is so key. So good on Boise State, and I'm excited to see how this next match pans out.
Well, do you have anyone that you want to shout out as having some great performance for a possible player of the game for that first match?
with how much DPS and utility they were providing, I have to give it to Kel once again on that secondary tank. We saw a lot of amazing plays from the DPS players, but they get it all the time, so we want to highlight somebody different every so often. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Kel. We saw a lot of good D.Va plays as well as the Sigma and just any tank for that matter. So my personal choice is Kel.
Well, we will see who production decides in the end to admire, but do you have any more final thoughts on that last fight?
For Kings Row, I'm very surprised that they did not go for the Cassidy or the Mei, and going over to the Busan as well. Looks like player of the game is going to go over to Gob on that DPS.
Yeah, with that flank.
Yeah, with the flank as well, and on top of that pharmacy, he was just uncontested, and even when he was constantly winning those fights so consistently, which is why he is our top DPS without question. And especially with this Ashe, he got a lot of good bobs in, which we saw from the high school level play as well, and was able to get a lot of good headshots and dynamite value of constantly burning down the enemy team and charging that ult. So good on Gob.
Gob is the ICCU player of the game, brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Gob is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Well, looks like we are going to be taking a little bit of a break, find out who we are facing next in this playoffs of the ABC Collegiate Overwatch, and be back with more action. That only took 20 minutes. It's amazing how fast these ABC fights go, but we're going to want to take a break nonetheless and be back to you with our next fight, so please stay tuned for more.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You are currently watching our coverage of ABC Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State in the top 32 teams won their first game, and now next in their playoff journey is a tough fight indeed. We're going to get to that, but I'm your host, Jacob Gemponer, joined by Brenner Bearlad. And Brenner, this could not be a more top-tier team. Maryville, the 2020 ABC Collegiate Overwatch champions.
Yeah, talk about an uphill battle. This is definitely a team that you pull out all the stops, because this is somebody that if you beat makes you a threat to be reckoned with. And so the pressure is on for both teams here, because Maryland wants to prove why they are the top team and why they won that tournament. But at the same time, Boise State wants to stay in this fight and prove that they are one of the best, and especially beating one of the best is what you want to do.
Well, we actually have a special interview that we're going to get to as soon as we can here. We have actually managed to get the director of Maryville's Overwatch program, so definitely one of the top coaches in the nation. Dan Clark is going to be joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Well, as good as we can be going up against a team as top tier as Maryville, so it should be a good fight. But we want to ask you a few questions. First, starting off, with such a top tier team that you do, defending champions of this tournament, what's been the overall, how would you kind of describe the character of your team in the past year or so?
The guys last year, they went through a lot of adversity to win the national championship. This year, our roster's been a little bit different, and it's been a bit shaky because we are actually having a few of our players move to the Overwatch League. So we've had a couple swaps, especially in roles, but I think after last year's adversity, this really isn't anything that's too crazy for them.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to touch on that you just had a bunch of players from spread out, go across the country and have the OWL trials go on. So bringing them back together and having them now refocus on the collegiate scene, how hard is that to do when they're coming from the top tier Overwatch to now collegiate and refocusing them?
It's honestly pretty tough because there is a big gap in the level of play. I would say even compared to playing on the Maryville team, when you go and play with the Overwatch League players, and it's an entire team of Overwatch League players, it is a very different environment. But I think the guys all really like each other in the room, and when they're in the room together, they play for each other. And I think that once they get into the lobby, it's easy from there. But I think it definitely is tough balancing the focus, especially in the fall.
Well, I'll get you out on this question here because we do have a fight to get into, but you have a choice. I'm going to put up a hypothetical situation for you. You have a choice to create your own Mount Rushmore of esports, if you will. Do you just do 4 complete statues of Doc Haskell? Because it seems to me like that would be the perfect lineup.
Definitely, yeah. But I would like if it was like me, in the background, peeking between 2 of the Doc Haskells, just the top of my head. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, 4 Doc Haskells for sure.
Well, we'll see how the fight goes tonight and see if you can earn your spot in that overall statue. So good luck to you, Maryville. We hope you have a great time. Thank you for this interview.
Yeah, for sure.
All righty, we are just about ready to hop into this fight. Definitely, man, many of the players from Maryville, in the Overwatch League trials, it's just such a tall task. How would you personally, since, you've been in big fights like this, being members of esports teams, so how do you focus yourself mentally when you're going up against a team in which you might be considered the underdog?
I mean, you have to take it fight by fight. I definitely try to focus on what is currently in front of me rather than where I could be or where I should be. You're here near now, and you need to focus on that. This is an upcoming fight, whether you're used to be playing with the professional teams that everyone knows and loves, or your team back home in college. You're here now. You need to play the best game so that when you go back to those pro teams, you can say, hey, I won this really hard fight, and now I'm here to prove myself once again. So I definitely think it's an all hold bars for both teams of refocusing and saying, hey, this is going to be a tough fight.
Well, just like the last match, we are going to be starting out on Busan, but we haven't seen this particular stage tonight. But before we get to that, just want to remind you of the opening lineup brought to you by Count. Count Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Now, as I said, Brenner, we haven't seen this particular stage in the Busan control lineup, so tell us a bit about this one.
So once again, it's going to come down to who holds the top balcony when fighting on the bottom point, and it's clearing out that little under pocket right by point because so many people like to hang out there and try to dish out as much damage as possible. Oh, but first it looks like they're going to be fighting off point because you want to win this first team fight in order to cap the point because it is not even unlocked first. So it's whoever gets the first elimination, especially on the main tank, will determine who wins this first fight, or if you lose one of your Baptistes, will definitely win that fight, whoever gets the first elimination.
Well, it looks like a freeze went on to Maryville. Mikey is going to be eliminated by a large bagel. That is a great start for the Broncos. They've already managed to get to the advantage. They're going to continue to keep that going, taking out Ice, but some great fighting back from Provide is going to take out Chosen. A nice boop onto Beta as well for the Broncos. They have managed to take the point first.
Yeah, that's exactly what you see. They did lose Chosen really early on, and now they're opening up the fight with their amplification matrix as Boise State tries to rotate out. They rotate right into the firing line of Maryville, and it looks like as soon as they're going to get the point, they're going to lose it.
Well, unfortunate turn of events for the Broncos, but at least they managed to win the first fight. No stagger even going to be really going on to them. Maxwell has to get away, though. He is very low on health. Needs to be healed back up by Chosen. Boise State does not want to afford any sort of stagger with Maryville.
Yeah, the Lucio is definitely one you want to keep an eye on because that determines how you engage and when you engage with that speed boost. So it looks like Boise State's going to open up with the amplification matrix once again.
But that proton barrier is going to make it hard to push that damage through. That choke point as Goff brings out the high noon. But it looks like just Plato and Maxwell. Plato, especially with the double, is just going to be doing the majority of the work for the Broncos. And now Maxwell takes out Provide one by one. Maryville gets eliminated, and the Broncos have their point back.
Yeah, Maryville actually played that way too split. They committed Diva, one of their tanks, to a single Cassidy from Gob. They both committed their ults, and I definitely think they lost out value there. Gob only had to use his Deadeye, whereas they committed the full self-destruct that takes so long to charge up, and already Gob's back at that 50%, whereas they're only at the 15.
There goes Kel throwing out that self-destruct. Isn't going to take out anyone from Maryville. There goes a shatter right onto Plato, and he's going to be pinned right after that. It is a seesaw back and forth as Ice takes out a large bagel. Boise State does look like they have lost this team fight, and there goes Chosen being taken out by Light. And Boise State is going to have to reset.
Yeah, they started off that fight exactly what you wanted to do. They canceled out the Blizzard because as they pressed Q, who they got stunned right out of it, so they lost that such key ult for them, especially going up against the Diva that doesn't even have her mech right now, but she's going to get it very soon. So now you have to take a look at the ults. Maryville does have the advantage here with having both support ults to Boise State's just the one Deadeye. Chosen should be able to get that amplification matrix very quickly, but opening up with it, you have to see if they'll even be able to get one.
Oh, tries, but isn't going to be able to it. They do burn off both of Maryville's ultimates, though. The Amp Matrix and the Beat is going to be thrown down. Provide and Beta. Beta getting a double now, taking out Maxwell with those missiles. Boise State rotating back to their spawn. They should have enough time for one more team fight.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to have to utilize the speed, but Maryville has that photon barrier as well as the Blizzard, so things are not looking good for Boise State next fight. It's all going to be on Kel to eat that Blizzard if they want to have a chance at winning this. Photon barrier they can work with, but that Blizzard is going to be the game changer.
But if Light is just going to pick out Goff right after, it might not even take the Blizzard. There goes the Blizzard, as well as Plato using that Shatter. And that Blizzard is going to tear through the Broncos, prevent them from getting to the first point. So here's what I want to ask you, Brenner. It seemed for the first half of that fight, it was very seesaw. Boise State, Maryville, Boise State, Maryville, and then it just went to Maryville. So what was the key turning point that allowed Maryville to hold Boise?
I think once they came back from that loss fight between the Diva and Gob on the Cassidy, they realized they were playing incredibly split, and especially coming back from Owl Trials of a very high skill, both team and individual play. They were sticking to that individual play and realized, hey, we're still a team, we need to have that team play. So once they had that team play back, they just outright were beating Boise State in so many areas. We saw them almost every team fight opening up with such an early elimination onto Gob or one of the other players, usually Gob on that Cassidy. So going into this next fight, hey, with Gob now on the Reaper this time, I expect to see a lot more damage to try to eliminate the front line of Maryville.
Hey, you can just tear through Rhine with those two guns of Reapers. We'll just have to see how it works out right now. Boise State's still trying to push up, but Gob looks like he's going to get knocked off the edge. Has to use his teleport to just go back up. He's going to throw out a little bit of a thanks spray for that. They don't see him, though, in the back line, and he looks like he's going to try to eliminate Provide. Is able to get the pick, but right now, Beta in the front was doing so much damage to Boise State, it might not matter. Gob doing great work here, and now they're turning around to focus him down. Halo with a boop is going to take out Gob, and despite some nice play from him, Boise State falls to Maryville again.
Yeah, even though he had that great pick in the back line, Boise State lost their front line, so he could only stall them for as long as he could. But having iced on this Symmetra setup already, Boise State is definitely having an uphill battle, having to push through the car wash, as well as just the high damage output that Maryville has right now with their whole lineup. They also have to deal with that Mei wall. If they can bait it out, that's their time to push. And if they can't, then the pressure is on as they open up with Amplification Matrix.
Amplification Matrix and Beat being used. Fredo tries to throw out that Shatter, but is taken out by Provide. Now Gob does manage to even it out, so both Reinhardts are eliminated from both teams. So it is 5v5 right now. Boise State has managed to make it out of the hallway, trying to catch Geist off guard, almost taking him out, but he manages to survive while Gob and Chosen get taken out. Boise State having a hard time pushing on to the point, and that Blizzard's going to make it even more difficult for the Broncos. That's going to be another reset.
It was very much a zoning Blizzard rather than a counter push Blizzard, so they still got value out of it, but I definitely don't think they needed it that badly. They definitely could have saved it for the next team fight unless Light knows they can charge it just that much quicker as the rotations are coming out from both teams trying to do ring around the rosy here. So going for this next engagement, they're starting off with a great Mei wall.
Yeah, it's a great Mei wall splitting up the Broncos, and the Amp Matrix thrown down. Boise State is going to use all that they have, the Blizzard and the Beat. Maryville is just going to throw down that that Immortality Field and get through that. Gob manages to take out Provide with that Death Blossom, but a double from Mikey is making it even. Boise State still managing to hold on right now as the self-destruct thrown out by Cal isn't going to be getting anyone, but Boise State has managed to take back the point by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, it was a 2v3 for the longest time, but Max Hull on the Mei was able to get the point, and while Kel kept them off the point, but as soon as Maryville is able to regroup, we see that mech fall.
Now Cal on this pilot. Diva isn't going to be making much of a presence on the point. Now Boise State has a real big problem as they are now really up against it. They have to try to go on one at a time because they cannot do a full team fight. Gob at the last minute swap over to Doomfist. Is someone going to be able? Oh no, Chosen throws out the Amp Matrix. And that is it for Boise State. Unfortunate, none of them were able to get to the point.
Yeah, we saw the Shatter on Death as a last-ditch effort because they did not have time on their side, but it looks like Plato will still get the play of the game even after losing the control map because he did land a great two-man Shatter on that first map, which allowed them to win this third fight, I believe. So good on Boise State for at least managing that. They put up a fight.
Well, overall, if you are at the high school level and want to start your journey to where Maryville is right now, trying out for Overwatch Leagues, and one of the organizations that can help you out is Esports Tower. You can improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance in tournaments. Esports Tower takes the time to match you up with other great players and coaches to help you rank up. Unlock your true talent at esportstower.com. Alrighty, the Broncos now have a huge gauntlet in front of them. They are going to have to pull out 2 wins in a row against Maryville. And the big top team that won it all last year looks to be a very tough match for the Broncos.
Yeah, definitely proving why they were in the OWL trials for the main Overwatch League as well. And we heard their coach even say, like, some of their players just joined the main Overwatch League teams. So that's definitely just credit to what team they had before, and even after regrouping the players they still have that are this top tier that are giving us such a problem. As they start off rough, which allows Boise State to win a team fight or two, but as soon as they regroup and kind of adjusted, they came back and dominated the field And even in those last fights, they have the same mentality as Boise State. Even when you're down members, you can still win the fight. They were in a 2v3 situation that Boise State was able to cap the point, but they immediately healed up and re-pushed it and took the point. So I definitely have to give credit where credit is due. Good on Maryville.
Well, Boise State with the choice of the second match. Looks like they're going to do Kings Row. We're going to get to that after this short break. Take a short break. See if Boise State can't still pull out victory from this. It's going to be a tough go, but we'll see how the Broncos do after this.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You're currently watching Boise State in ABC Collegiate Overwatch going up against the defending champions from last year, Maryville University, and Maryville is currently up one in this best of three. We'll see how the Broncos can do. I'm still your host, Jacob Jim Palmer, joined by Brenner Bearlat. Brenner, we're hardly going to have any time to talk before we get into this next match, Kings Row, and here we go.
Yeah, Boise State's going for the May Brawl here, so they definitely are looking to win this first team fight because that is definitely going to help their mentality here after losing that first match. And it looks like Maryville is also going to go for the Doomfist Cassidy play this time around, not rely on the May, but more of the high speed. He disrupt the backline and go straight in. They are able to wall off the Diva, but it is not enough as they lose a large bagel right off the bat.
Bud Light is Throzen, going to go very low on health and is taken out by Chosen, but great play from Iced on that Cassidy. A double is going to be pushing Boise State off the point indeed, as Ice now with his third getting rid of Maxwell.
Yeah, Ice on this Cassidy is proving why he works in every situation. He has the long range, the close range, the stun, and the getaway with the roll. Definitely is going to be a key player to watch out for, as Light will be hopefully countered consistently by Boise State, but he's going to get a lot of value trading with the backline of the supports as they open up with the amplification matrix from both sides. So zoning trying to buy the time for both sides.
Well, the front line of Maryville is going to be taken out as Mikey falls to Maxwell. They're looking to be now using that payload as their new tank right now, waiting for Mikey to respawn. Looks like they're just sort of hiding behind it, pushing it through this choke. In terms of ultimates, both of these Cassidys have charged up their Deadeyes. We're going to see when those are brought out, but right now not too much damage being exchanged between both these teams. There goes Ice Deadeye. Maywall thrown up immediately in response to that. It's going to take Light out as well. And there goes a Shatter, but it's not quite going to land as they had. But look at that, the Deadeye able to take out Mikey. Boise State plows right through the front line and is now picking off Maryville one by one.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want to do when you have the advantage, and even wall off the spawn so he can't get back, so you can get a little bit of that ult percentage back so early on. And Plato's definitely trying to catch up to Mikey, even though he hasn't had his own Shatter, but now Iced is swapping over to the Hanzo from the Cassidy, so he's going to give up that utility to try to get the possible one-pick headshot with those arrows and contest high ground as he runs right into kill on the Diva.
Well, these Maywalls have been on point for Boise State, but they're going to have to fight that Blizzard. Look, though, they managed to freeze that map right as he gains mid-air. But Plato only able to take out one. That's Mikey. Ice, you were talking about this Hanzo. Look at him getting a triple. Just just tearing right through the Broncos, and that is going to continue their push.
Yeah, losing that D.Va and having to peel off and protect the back line allowed Hanzo to just start raining down arrows from that top window. Oh, and now Maryville's keeping 2 people on the cart so they can push it and get as much space as they can to put the pressure on Boise State to get to that first checkpoint so they get even more time, as we are only at 3.5 minutes remaining. Boise State does have the ult advantage, but Double Dragons is going to be online soon, and they're going to open up with the Shatter.
Oh, and an opening up with that self-destruct. Now Plato with a great charge is able to take out Light. And there goes that Dragon Strike out from Maryville. Boise State answers that back with the self-destruct, not getting anybody, but they managed to take Beta out of their mech. And despite everything, Boise State looks like they are going to be able to hold Maryville here. So overall, great job burning off those ultimates, but Maryville still has a lot of players on the point, so it's not quite over for the Broncos right now, especially Ice, as he can just snipe up from that high ground. They're going to throw the Maywall up there to make his job a little bit more difficult. Looks like they did buy enough time to force Maryville to soft reset.
Yeah, they're going to be taking poke damage consistently, seeing as they cannot contest the high ground as much as they would like, only having the Baptiste and the D.Va to quickly go from the ground to up top, as once again, we're starting off this fight with a double amplification matrix.
And a great Maywall, which peeled out Provide from the rest of Maryville, but Light taking out Kel. It is 5v5 now in this overall fight. Maxwell's going to throw out that Blizzard, and we also hear a whole bunch using by Boise State, that High Noon taking out Light and Ice. Now that both the DPSs are gone from Maryville, that's a lot of damage off the table, and Gob's going to use that to take out Halo. Also flashbang right onto Mikey, and Boise State is mounting a really good defense here before this checkpoint.
Yeah, and I think this just proves why the Cassidy is so vital to a King's Row map, especially going up against a Hanzo Doomfist. He just counters them so well. He has the long range to match the Hanzo and the flashbang to counteract the Doomfist, but now going up against the Sim, it's gonna be a high damage fight here.
Whoa, the wall goes up and Plato manages to take out Halo. Both shatters are used from both teams, but Gob has managed to get an incredible flank here onto Maryville, but isn't able to take them out as fast as he would. But a nice boot from Bagel is going to open it up for Gob. He is now trying to take out Light here, gets the heal back. Light very low on health. Large Bagel, look at him, he's been the one getting the picks thus far, and Goblin finally finds the pick that he was looking for, taking out Light, and Boise State once again holds them.
Yeah, this is the defense you want to see from Boise State right now. They are able to trickle out Maryville and get a lot of stalling done, buying them a ton of time. So now the pressure is on Maryville. They only have a minute left and only the self-destruct in their pocket. Both support ults are coming online, but that is not the aggression you need for a possible team wipe here so that they can get that next checkpoint. And now it is going to be on the pressure of Boise State supports to keep their team members alive, especially since they have the ult, as well as Gob, who's just been outperforming Maryville right now.
Well, that High Noon isn't going to get too much with that Maywall thrown up. He might know. He was still looking. Looks like they went into the subway there for a little bit of cover. Those amp matrix are going to be burned by both teams, as well as Halo using that beat, trying to keep Maryville alive. Will Boise State manage to survive through that? They throw out the Blizzard in response, and it's just going to help freeze Maryville and push them off the point. They managed to get the pick off to provide. That is huge, and look at all the members that were frozen from Maryville. That was such a crucial Blizzard thrown out by Maxwell. What a play at Boise State. Looks like they're going to keep Maryville from the first checkpoint.
Yeah, now they just have to hold out this stall because the D.Va was right around the corner, and with the main freeze and the Blizzard coming out, it is definitely going to help zone them away, but unless they get on this cart, they're going to have to hold it, and no one is there, so it seems that Boise State will be able to hold them and take this first part.
Oh, wow. What a great performance from the Broncos. While their backs were against the wall, they did an incredible defense. Then this was that crucial Blizzard I was talking about. It lands onto so many. Well, first he managed to solo freeze Beta, but then it takes Iced and Mikey out and freezes them, and that allowed Boise State to continue on those picks.
Yeah, and I definitely want to highlight the communication there. They knew they did not need to complete the main wall to blocking off that self-destruct because it landed above them, so it would not hit them. Stuff like that is the little things you need to call out here or in this high level of play so that they can keep their focus on the correct targets. Same with the communication on freezing the D.Va. She's frozen. Engage Blizzard, go straight on that Baptiste, taking out the main healer. Lucio cannot out-heal pretty much anything, even with the help of a boost to the healing, because half the time he's going to be on speed so the players can try to avoid the damage. So pressure's on Maryville on this defense, and we have to see how Boise State, how quickly they can win this first fight and cap the point and then push the cart, because all they have to do is get to that first checkpoint.
Well, here's the thing, is that I might have oversold it a little bit saying Boise State's playoff journey was on the line. They do continue in the playoffs after this. This is a fight more for seeding because the top 16 teams after this group of 4 competition are going to make it into the bracket. So Boise State has already won one tonight, so that probably gives them a good chance of getting to the top 16, but they can get a win or two against Maryville. My goodness, would they be punching their ticket to the finals. We'll see how it works out here as they go around the statue, unable to peel off with that May wall there. They're going to try the other direction now as Maryville pushes forward in the counterattack. Maxwell manages to take out Mikey. That's the front line gone, and Boise State looks like they're going to be able to take this in their first push. What a play by the Broncos. Cal now taking out Light. Beta going very low on health, and the Broncos now starting their ticks.
Yeah, talk about a flawless team fight. They did not lose a single member there. And again, this is why I said you have to highlight the supports of Boise State who kept them alive, especially Chosen with that immortality field. As they were just burning down Mikey on that Rhine, he made sure to keep his teammates alive, and that immortality field placement kept both Gob and Maxwell alive, who both got very low in that fight. So now they have to take the space and be able to win this next fight as they open up with the amplification matrix, because they had the ult first.
Ooh, it looks like they managed to peel off some of Maryville, and Gob is able to take out Mikey. Beta also taken out of their mech. Maxwell taking out Provide, but Gob and Plato being eliminated in the process. It looks like Boise State is down 1 overall in this current team fight, and with Ice getting that double, that is most assuredly going to force the Broncos to reset.
Yeah, their supports got cut off from the rest of the team, so that was a great Maywall bot highlight to cut them off, and especially once they were low. Iced on that, Cassidy rolled right in and took them both out. But now that they backed off, Boise State is going to get a free push here for a solid bit. But you know Maryville is waiting something, since Ice is right up above them. They don't see him. But there he is, and it looks like he will get taken out after taking out Chosen, though.
I mean, he does manage to get a pick, but good job on Boise State for recognizing that threat at least pretty soon in that fight. Now, looking for how Boise State has pushed toward the payload. They don't even need to get to the first checkpoint. Remember, it's just a little farther than Maryville managed to push here. So one good team fight for the Broncos could do it for them. We'll see how it works out. That Maywall isn't going to peel off any of the members of Maryville, unfortunately, for the Broncos. Large Bagel's going to try to peek over, see if there's anyone hiding. Doesn't look like it, so Boise State is going to go back up to the corner, pushing that payload even closer here. And now Large Bagel has crucially built up that beat to help them survive. There goes the high noon out. The beat is used in response, as well as the shatter. They're going to take out the immortality field. Ice is going to drop. What a huge DPS taken out from Maryville as Boise State continues their push. They are so close to putting this away here, but there goes that self-destruct. Is taking out a Large Bagel, and Boise State getting so close, but I don't know if they're going to be able to survive here. It looks like Maryville has managed to hold through this.
Yeah, thankfully they do have a good buffer of time to come back for this. They just want to try to burn as many ults from Maryville as they can for this next engagement, and they were able to get that shatter to come out from Mikey, so now it is all on the sound barrier from Halo to try to combat this next push from Boise State, because they will have the Deadeye and Amplification Matrix, and we've seen how quickly Plato can charge these shatters of his own. If you land a single 6-man flame strike, you got that ult. So now it is gonna be down to the wire. But once again, Ice coming in from behind, able to get such an early elimination, kick this off.
Well, doesn't look like, unfortunately for the Broncos, that Deadeye is going to work out for them. And Kel, I don't think he's going to be able to get away there. No, they're just going to stagger him out even more. That is not the situation. He's just going to try, yeah. Well, Maryville doing the smart thing right there, trying to get as much time as they can. That payload is actually starting to be pushed back a good distance.
Yeah, and now Boise State has definitely learned the lesson of eliminate Ice first, or at least find him and locate him, because if he is in the backline and eliminates your main healer, that's not what you want to see, and we already see that happening right away.
Nice, that is the pick they were looking for, but they're going to face a lot of pressure from Mikey, who just goes right in. Chosen with some backup is going to take out Mikey, but that Blizzard tearing through the Broncos right now. Despite that first pick onto Mike, Boise State is not going to find it again.
Yeah, Plato peeling for Chosen is what you want to see, but that left the rest of his team completely exposed, as Kel could not hold the front line all by himself on a Diva. So once they lost that front line, they turned around and got eliminated as the last 2 remaining members of Boise State. So they are charging ults very quickly, but Maryville still has the advantage as they have 2 ults currently ready, and Ice is very close on this Deadeye.
Well, Large Bagel, that's a huge pick onto Light there. We'll see if Boise State, how can they make that? They're going to fall victim to a huge shatter right now, and Maxwell is going to pay the price. Now both Immortality fields are taken out. We see a swap being brought out by Light, but in the meantime, that self-destruct isn't going to pick up anybody. Chosen is eliminated by Mikey, but Boise State is managing to push it up towards it. They do manage to take out Mikey. Kell still making a fight of it for the Broncos. It's going to go right onto the point, is unable to keep it for the Broncos, but now this is a very crucial next fight for the Boise.
Yeah, Maryville's an all-out defense here. Now Light even swapping over to the Doomfist to try to get another early pick onto Chosen, because that's definitely been their win condition here. If they can eliminate Chosen, that pretty much stops Boise State's push in their track, because that is their main healer. So now it's going to be all on Large Bagel to nail that sound barrier to try to defend him. It's all around Chosen right now for this final push, as they only have a minute left.
Oh, and while they're dealing with that, they don't see the Deadeye from behind. Light is going to be taken out. Boise State using all of their ultimates at once, but it doesn't look like it's going to pick up too many. Maxwell still has his Blizzard, though. That could be crucial. We'll see how it works. He throws it out right onto the point. Looks like it is going to freeze Mikey as he is eliminated. Boise State now is going to throw down their Amp Matrix as their Diva is fighting Beta, taken down out of the mech, and a re-mech kill onto Beta too. But Ice is such a threat from Maryville, but there goes Boise taking out Light. Looks like they just might be able to take it. Can they do it?
Yeah, they need to push this cart. They got the freeze on the back, and they even get it. Celebration coming out from everybody here as we just tied this best of 3 up with the reigning champs here right now. Well-deserved celebration. So now the pressure is on for this final map as we watch the play of the game going over to Gob, which is very well deserved here, as him on this Cassidy definitely helped them win this final defense on Kings Row.
Whoa, what a fight, and the Broncos are pushing this to game number 3. Well, if you are looking to join Boise State Esports, then Boise State is always looking for new talent in either Overwatch, League of Legends, Rocket League, Valorant, or production. A good performance along with good grades and eligibility can be your path to getting scholarships as well. To start your esports journey, go to boisestate.edu/esports for more information. Well, the team definitely has a lot of energy right now. Like I said, this is only for seeding right now in this bracket stage that they're going to be moving on to. But what a name the Broncos are going to be making for themselves, managing to take one away from the reigning champions.
Yeah, especially with so many players coming back from the OWL trials. Like, these are the toppest of the tier players that we have in the collegiate scene right now, especially after winning so many tournaments. So now the pressure is on, as this is game, point, and match. It's all down to this, so the pressure is on, and I'm very curious what the map might be as well.
Well, we'll find out what it is after this short break, and we'll be right back after this.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. If you are just joining us, then you have sure been missing out because we are currently in the middle of the top 32 teams competing in ABC Collegiate Overwatch. Boise State is going up against the top team, the reigning defending champions from last year, Maryville. And Boise State, despite Maryville getting the first win in this best of three, have tied it up in dramatic fashion and are going to take this to the third match, the tiebreaker. We're going to see what happens. Can the Broncos pull off a tremendous upset victory? I'm still your host, Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by Brenner Bearlad to call all of the action. And Brenner, before we get to this next match, I just wanted to do just a little bit of recap because I asked you on Busan, the first map, where kind of it went wrong for Boise State and Maryville. So now I'm going to flip the question. What was the key thing that flipped it for Boise State and Kings Row?
I definitely think I would have to highlight what Ice plays were doing. He was constantly playing split away from his team and trying to get the early elimination onto Chosen, but he did it one too many times. So once he did it for the third time and got completely eliminated, that allowed Boise State to be that +1 going straight into the next fight. And then they got the first elimination, as well as constantly focusing down the D.Va so they can use the Blizzard, which again allows them to win the fight so consistently. They had that target recognition, which again is to highlight the communication. So I definitely think going into this next map, which is Dorado on Escort, by the way, which we know for a fact that Maryville doesn't really practice Escort as well as on Dorado that much, whereas this is one of Boise State's key maps, especially for Escort. So things are not looking good for Maryville, but with them being the top team, you have to expect anything.
Yeah, that's the main thing. These still are the grand champions. A lot of their players played and some have qualified for Overwatch League. So Boise State is going up against just basically a lion of talent right now. But we'll see if they can pull off the upset right here on Dorado. It is interesting that you talked about this being Boise State's favorite map. What do you think it is about this that makes Boise State gravitate towards Dorado?
I definitely want to contribute to it's one of those maps that's been in the game for the longest time, so which allows them to hone every strategy they have on it, and it allows for so much variability in the strategies you can hold it. You could do a close hold on the indoors, you could do up top, you can hold around the corner, you can hold behind the arch, all on just the first checkpoint alone. So with Maryville on the defense first, or Boise State on the defense first, sorry, it is all going to be about if they can get the early pick first, especially onto Provide, who is their main healer. Halo is trying to go for that close brawl, and as well as Light. If they can take out Light, that takes out the verticality element, and then they just have to worry about the ground battle. We saw Ice drop very low early on, so if they're able to get an early pick, that's going to make Maryville have to go for the reset as they're just pushing the car underneath, so Boise State's going to have to rotate around.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I don't like about that kind of main vantage point position that we see a lot of teams take, is that it gives the other players so much room to push that payload. But now we're getting into the first team fight, and there you go, Light taken out by Gob. So now Boise State only have to worry about that ground brawl. They've gone one up so far. Looks like they are holding Maryville right now. We'll see if they can't get any other picks. They're going to throw out that Hulk, and look like they get anyone. Maryville going for the soft reset.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. If they take out one of the key DPS or even Provide, they have to go for the reset because they need the full team push in order to combat Boise State. And we already see Mikey going straight for the backline, and it looks like that they're going to get it onto Chosen.
And that Transcendence is going to make it really hard for Boise State to get any sort of pick. Large Bagel and Gob eliminated, followed by Cal and Plato. With your tanks and DPS gone, that's a reset. Hopefully Chosen doesn't stagger.
Yeah, the dive brawl comp coming out from Maryville is exactly what Boise State is going to have a problem with, especially with every time that they're going to call, they're going to be going on to Chosen. So a large bagel on this break is going to be his best chance of staying alive, but they just got rolled over, especially having to contend with Echo's beam that once you get below half health is now going to do even more damage, so you get burned down that much quicker. This Echo is going to be one of the win conditions Boise has to eliminate in order to win a team fight.
Well, they're facing some flankers right now. A little bit of pressure from all sides as Maryville has kind of split up, and Light taking up a large bagel. Maxwell's going to throw out his molten core. The rock. Oh, they managed to just survive Maryville just long enough to get that rally, which is going to push them back up to a lot of health. Mikey and Light taking out Chosen and Cal. And it looks like Boise State just might have to reset and get one more fight in before this next checkpoint.
Yeah, we saw Maxwell on the Torb have to commit the molten core and was only able to get Beta Male out of his mech. So now going to this next team fight, Boise State does have the ult advantage, but they have to deal with both the zoning control of the mines and the pulse bomb, able to eliminate multiple members if they are close enough. But it seems that Gob is going to open things up with the Bob to contest the card.
Oh, and he's going to he uses the coach gun to push away the self-destruct. That's something I haven't necessarily seen. But it looks like Maryville opening this up good with Light taking out a large bagel. Gob looks like he's going to be swapping over to the Cassidy now. Boise State is going to give up the second checkpoint. But Cal's still taking a lot of damage, is going to get a stagger on top of that.
Yeah, Maryville having a very aggressive attack strategy right now that has been paying off for them. Even as members of Boise State are trickling back to the spawn, they're getting staggered out right now. Oh, and losing so many ultimates to that early pulse bomb in the last fight is not what you want to see.
Well, here we go. Boise State is going to get pushed right up onto their point. The key thing is they're still looking for a way that they can pick off one of those DPSs from Maryville to force them to reset, because like at the beginning as we saw, once Maryville loses one or two, they're pretty committed to resetting here. Maxwell's already charged back up his molten core. There goes the rally. He's going to push it right into that narrow hallway. Provide in response uses the Transcendence and the minefield. Pulse bomb also thrown out. But Kel is the first one to get an elimination, but is answered quickly back by Gob taking out Mikey, going pretty low on health there. Boise State fighting 5v5 right now as that payload gets closer and closer to that final point. And there goes the supercharger from Plato. Boise State with the pick by Plato and a large big on to Provide and Beta. Now on to Light. That looks like a hold against Maryville, and Boise State has some breathing room.
Yeah, they definitely out-sustained Maryville in a prolonged fight, having that Baptiste compared to both the Zen and the Brig. Maryville does not have the healing capabilities. They are definitely the pure dive comp you want to see of choose a target, win the fight, because if the fight goes any longer than a minute, they're not going to be able to out-sustain Boise State with the healing capabilities that they have. So Boise State definitely playing to their strengths right now, recognizing the fact that if we can just out-hold them, we will win the fight, which is exactly what they did and what they need to do in this next fight.
Oh, Kel going very low on health, taken out of his mech, is trying to push as much damage as he can onto the sand. Isn't going to be successful, and unfortunately the High Noon is just going to be burned off. I mean, hey, you got a Torp turret elimination, so there you go. Mikey is going to be taken out. That doesn't look like it's going to be enough to keep Maryville at bay as they take out Cal, Chosen, and Plato. Now Boise State looks like they're swapping over to the Bastion. Oh no, Gob is going to swap onto the Tracer because they need to get onto the point here. And they don't do it soon enough. So Maryville finishing with 228. Boise State managed to take a few engagements away from Maryville, but still a huge amount of time.
Yeah, as we took a look at this quickly, where Boise State won this fight, as I mentioned, it was about the sustain. They played it right. They had their front line run straight into the tanks, and the Zenyatta was up there as well. So once they lost their healers and their front line, the DPS had to retreat and was not able to get any picks. So Boise State played that very well, even if they were in a tight hallway. A ton of ults were committed in multiple of those hallway fights as well in those tight conditions. I don't think Maryville got nearly as much value as Boise State was out of those ults. So now with Boise State on the attack and Maryville on the defense, I'm curious what attack strategy Boise State might take, seeing as Maryville went for the pure dive kind of split attack push, whereas Boise State went for the stay together brawl strat.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. It just has to be a thing of winning just the fight that you're in. Boise State can't, look too far out there. They just got to focus on the task at hand. And right now, that's getting to the first checkpoint and seeing where they go from there.
Yeah, and that first checkpoint is going to be a hard fight as well, because it looks like Maryville's sticking with their kind of dive comp and won't have the sustain going into it. So Boise State can simply outlast them and continue to push the cart with even 2 or 3 members. They're going to make a lot of ground here, but it looks like they're also going to go for the Roadhog. So definitely a modified team comp of what Maryville was before.
Well, it's kind of interesting because if you think about it, if you've got this DPS, as Ice trying to go into your backline and just one hook can negate it, but it looks like Boise State is going to be swapping over. Kel goes back over to the Divas, so my hopes at seeing a little bit of Roadhog aren't going to materialize right now, but they're trying to take out Ice. Looks like he's going to survive to fight another day, looking to flank Boise State, who's already pushed it up to the first corner, much like Maryville did, and they're fighting up on this upper vantage point here. And Gob getting the first pick on to provide that is a great first start. Now a lot of the healing is gone for Maryville, and Boise State is just pushing right through the choke point.
Yeah, this is the definition of a mirror match. So far, Boise State is winning it as they were able to take out the main healer so early on is exactly what you want to see. Now it is goal to take out the other healer as well as the DPS. So now they have no DPS and no healers. Now you just have to take out the main tanks as they lost Maxwell.
And Beta is also going to get staggered. While Boise State currently looks like they're beating the pace that Maryville set.
Yeah, they got that first checkpoint very quickly. Maryville definitely was slower in their own attack, but with Light able to take out Gob, it does make Boise State have to pace themselves a little bit, but as Light gets healed up, Maryville does have the ult percentage advantage on multiple characters, and especially with Halo getting an early elimination on Chosen, it's not what you want to see.
Well, with one of the Broncos holding back to push the payload, they were fighting basically at 5v6 as they were going off to the side there. So Boise State looks like they're going to reset and go back to a full team fight right now. They have to watch out for what Maryville has stored. We'll see how they can do it as Gopp is nearly charged up copy himself. That's going to go online as well as Maxwell's pulse bomb and a large Bagels rally. He does the copy on to Diva here. So we'll see how fast he can charge up. If he can charge up that bomb, he's just going to go right in the face of the Echo, take out that verticality. He's already up to 61%, but looks like that his copy is going to be negated. He goes back to Echo here, but Maxwell was able to take out Ice, so that is a huge DPS pick for Maryville. They hit 2 of their ultimates at the same time, their own copy and their own rally, but that was a great pulse bomb onto Beta Male there from Boise State, and that Transcendence is going to help them survive through those ultimates. 2 self-destructs thrown out at the same time, but all through this talking, Boise State has managed to push the payload forward slowly but surely.
Yeah, through that whole fight, we saw Maxwell sitting on the cart fighting against Mikey, just pushing the cart consistently, because as soon as he left it, they were getting progress. And having 2 members on it consistently is what's going to help them push it as quickly as possible, especially since they can't contest the high ground as well. Well, since they have to push the cart, if they are able to eliminate either the Diva or the Echo, they will definitely be in a spot where they can win this for sure. So as we wait for this next team fight to have a solid engagement, they're definitely trying to regroup. The ults are definitely on the side of Maryville as they have the only one currently up, but Maxwell's very close on that pulse bomb.
Boise State manages to charge up really fast. They're going to throw out that pulse bomb. Take out Light. That's the verticality gone. Now they can just focus on the ground brawl, or at least as much of a ground brawl as you can with that high archway. But Boise State still managing to push the early advantage here. It looks like Maxwell is going hunting here for a flank. We'll see if he can get it. He gets the Wrecking Ball right out. They didn't even see Maxwell, and Maxwell's having a great time in the back line, but Gob is eliminated, and so is Plato by Light, who comes back with a vengeance with a double, and Boise State now just before the second checkpoint, but having to reset.
Yeah, they had a really solid start to that fight, but with how much damage they were just taking from above that they couldn't contest because they had to push that cart as far as they could. They got really close to the checkpoint, so now they just have to win one team fight and they'll have the checkpoint, as now they are falling the below time of what Maryville is, but if they get this checkpoint, they'll get that time right back. Gob does have duplicate online, and Light is right behind Maryville, definitely still having the ult advantage for this next fight. So Boise State might just have to try to burn as many ults as they can and then go for a reset for the next fight.
We'll see. Well, 2 are already burned from Maryville, the rally and the minefield. Going to do a good job of taking out Chosen. They're just gonna have to hope that someone on Maryville has a fat finger right now. But they managed to take out Provide, and that's still a pretty good elimination right there. As Gob gets taken out, has managed to charge back up the copy, and Boise State looks like they're going to have 3 more ultimates available right here. But it looks like they might have found a pick. No, they aren't, as Maxwell gets taken out by Beta.
Yeah, in that very short burst of a team fight, they were able to burn off both the mines and the rally, which allowed them to get a lot of value as well, because now it is a 4v5 in ult percentage, with Kel about to make it 6 for Boise State. So things are looking very good. I expect a lot of Qs to be pressed as soon as these teams are grouped up. But in the Battle of the Skies right now, all eyes are on Echo and Diva.
Well, it looks like Gob is going to use the copy. Immediately gets mowed down, though. And there goes the rally out from a large bagel. Plato is able to take out Provide, so that Transcendence crucially not available to Maryville, and that's going to allow Ice to be taken out, but Gob gets eliminated too, as Mikey takes him out. Maxwell's going to be trying to fight with Mikey, but not pushing enough damage, but it does manage. They are getting to the point as Kel throws out the self-destruct. Spots Halo out way away from his team. That's going to be enough for Boise State to at least get to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, we're trying to take out Halo for the longest time. Break Free Tracer finally wins it with the help of a large bagel. So now, with all of the ults getting pressed for that fight, hey, Boise State does come out of it with the Pulse Bomb, so does Maryville. So now it's going to see who gets the most value out of it. So once again, eyes are on this, both Divas to eat up these Pulse Bombs. Both the Divas and both Echoes have been kind of the main win condition for both players, because if you have control of the skies, that splits up the target priority for both teams of aim up or side to side of the ground or in the air. So that's definitely something that Boise State has been utilizing right now.
Well, he manages to throw the Pulse Bomb out, but isn't going to pick up anybody with it. Ice now throws his Pulse Bomb out and gets a lot more mileage, taking out a large bagel, forcing Boise State to reset.
Yeah, and now Mikey even has his mines as well, whereas Boise State doesn't have anything. They were able to get the mines up to the 88% mark, whereas Gob is trying to get that duplicate online as well, seeing as Light is only at the 60% for his own duplicate.
60 seconds remaining.
They do only have 60 seconds, so they won't have the time advantage going into overtime if they get to this third checkpoint, so the pressure is on. They have time for pretty much one more team fight with how long they have been going in these brawls. So pressure is on, and losing Gob like that is not what you want to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ice is such a huge target since he tends to peel off trying to get those picks, but if he manages to get them, then that's the whole point. And Boise State can't get that easy pick that they were looking for. And I don't know, at this point, Boise State looks like they are in the mindset to save their ultimates. It's going to be a hairy proposition, though. They're going to have just enough time for one more team fight to use them.
Yeah, they definitely do not have the spawn advantage here. So now they have to push into the building onto the cart, whereas Maryville is holding up at the gate and even have the 3 ults. So a pick on Delight might do the trick, even with the help of the rally, to keep people alive here. Gob with the Wrecking Ball was able to push them back, so now it's stay on the cart or die.
We'll see how it works out for the Broncos. Chosen, both teams are going to have that Transcendence, so it's crucial in how they're going to keep each other alive. Now, there goes the minefield being thrown out by Boise State, as well as both Transcendence. So I don't know if anyone's going to really be taken out in these next few seconds. There goes another self-destruct, this time thrown out by Cal. There goes one off the copy, thrown out by Light, as Large Bagel is eliminated. Boise State needs to even it up and fast here. Is this still winnable with Cal taken out of his mech? It's going to be a lot harder, and it looks like Maryville has managed to find what they need with Ice getting the double and Light also picking up Plato. That is going to be it. Maryville managing to hold the Broncos, but what a great fight this was.
You could practically say that was seed 1 and 2 fighting each other at that point with how close it was. These teams were fighting tooth and nail on both sides here. And Maryville just barely able to edge them out as the grand and returning champions of this tournament, with Halo getting play of the game on this Brig, because the Brigs were actually getting some solid damage and eliminations with such low targets getting constantly healed. Maryville takes it.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like I said, Boise State is in the top 32. If they manage to do well enough in this fight, and I think at least getting one win against Maryville is going to give them a good shot. If they can get into the top 16 teams, they will still have a path forward in the overall playoffs. So we'll just have to see how that shakes off. They had a great fight, managed to take one away from Maryville, and I think that's a lot to be proud of. Doc giving them a little bit of a pep talk there. And I think that this is also going to be a great VOD to review, because you're going up against the top team. Not only are you going to see some of the mistakes you made, but you're also going to see some stuff you did that won against the top team, and that's going to be very important going forward.
Yeah, and I think they definitely performed beyond expectations on both sides, because even after losing one, Maryville still brought it back. They did have a rough start, but they still held on and was able to win. And I want to say the exact same thing for Boise State. They lost that first Busan map, and it was a hard-fought loss, no doubt. And then going into Kings Row, where they've just been playing that map day in and day out, they finally get to win against Maryville, which I definitely think is a shot to kind of the ego of Maryville of, hey, we're the grand champions. Oh, we just lost a map. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Especially just coming out of the Owl Trials, playing with the best players in the industry. Both teams did phenomenally, even if Boise State came out with a loss.
Well, do you have anyone that you want to shout out for Boise State for the possible ICCU player of the game?
It's hard not to say Gob, especially after the McCree plays on Kings Row. But at the same time, I really want to say Chosen, because he was essentially the win condition for Maryville in so many fights. So him staying alive as long as he did kept Boise State in the fight for as long as they did. So I personally have to give it to Chosen.
Well, we'll see indeed who gets the ICCU player of the game. It's brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Gob is your ICCU player of the game.
Yeah, and it's hard to not give it to him after these Cassidy plays on Kings Row. It was just a beautiful performance to watch of why he is our top DPS player and most consistent in player of the game. So even after such a hard-fought game, well-deserved, and time to go take a nap.
It is time to get some much-needed rest. And, of course, if Boise State makes it into the top 16, we will bring all of the updates to you as it happened. Now, it seemed to me that one of the things that Maryville, that, you know, could be a theme going forward is we kind of alluded to it with multiple of their members. It just, some of their DPSs, also some of their supports as well. There were times when Boise State was able to just catch them out way away from their team. So if there's anything going forward that Boise State or other teams going into the top 16 would want to try to, you know, play against the champs against, it would probably be that one weakness. That was the biggest one that I saw against Maryville.
Yeah, and with it being a mirror match on pretty much almost every map it was, it's definitely watching of how the teams play together. You know, we heard from the coach that, you know, they're bringing it back together, so they were playing a bit more split than they might usually, or in the OL trials, because they're definitely putting a lot of pressure on their individual plays, which definitely hurt them, whereas Boise State came in and focused on their team play, which helped them win a lot of team fights and win Kings Row. So I think Maryville still has a lot of learning to do, and they still played phenomenally. So hopefully going into the next one, other teams are able to take advantage of that and prove why they have solid team play, not just individuals.
Well, it looks like that is going to do it for us tonight in Overwatch, but we have the top 5 plays of the game brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. For now, though, thank you for joining us and enjoy your top 5 Overwatch plays of the game. That they have the Blizzard and the beat. Maryville is just going to throw down that Immortality Field and get through that. God manages to take out Provide with that Death Blossom, but a double from Mikey is making it even. Boise State still managing to hold on right now as the self-destruct thrown out by Cal isn't going to be getting anyone, but Boise State has managed to take back.
Get even more time as we are only at 3.5 minutes remaining. Boise State does have the ult advantage, but Double Dragons is going to be online soon, and they're going to open up with the Shatter.
Oh, and an opening up with that self-destruct. Now Plato with a great charge is able to take out Light. And there goes that Dragon Strike out from Maryville. Boise State answers that back with the self. The rest of Maryville, but Light taking out Kel. It is 5v5 now in this overall fight. Maxwell's going to throw out that Blizzard, and we also hear a whole bunch using by Boise State. That High Noon taking out Light and Ice now that both the DPSs are gone from Maryville. That's a lot of damage off the table, and Gobb's going to use that to take out Halo. Also, cover those amp matrix are going to be burned by both teams, as well as Halo using that beat, trying to keep Maryville alive. Will Boise State manage to survive through that? They throw out the Blizzard in response, and it's just going to help freeze Maryville and push them off the point. They managed to get the pick off to provide. That is huge, and look at all the members that were frozen from Maryville. That was such a crucial Blizzard thrown out by Matt. Elimination, but is answered quickly back by Gobb, taking out Mikey, going pretty low on health there. Boise State fighting 5v5 right now, so that Halo gets closer and closer to that final point. And there goes Supercharger from Plato. Boise State with the pick by Plato and a large big on to provide. And Beta now on to Light. That looks like a hold again. Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. After a match like that, Boise State versus Maryville in ABC Overwatch, Boise State went up against the defending champions and managed to make quite a good showing. So even though they overall lost that round, there is a lot to talk about for how well the Broncos did, considering the circumstances. And we have the head coach, Doc Haskell, joining us to talk about that last game. Doc, what a game, you know, going up against the defending champions, managing to take one away from them. So where does this place us overall in the overall tournament? Because I know we're trying to be...
So it's single elimination at this point, so our journey is done, round of 16. We were talking about it on stage. We did have aspirations to go further, to go to the Final Four, but you don't get to choose who you're up against. You can only control the games in front of you, and you play the games you get. So honestly, if we have to go out to somebody, we'd much rather it be the defending national champ versus somebody that we just don't know that well.
All righty. Well, overall, we do want to talk about some individual players that showed some really great promise overall. Let's talk about Kel. You know, what made him have such a great game tonight?
Honestly, he just continues to get better and better and better. And as he feels more comfortable, he's becoming one of the older players on the team, feels comfortable helping direct traffic. You know, somebody makes a call out, he sees it either that way or a different way, and he just gets everybody on it, and people follow his voice. He's the kind of leader that that we saw in him as an incoming freshman almost 2 years ago. He's exactly the guy we thought he was, and what a difference he makes for our team.
Yeah, and what about his performance specifically in this game really stood out to you?
Well, you know what? So he's got all of these memorized boosts where he can just kind of, he's in the middle of the fight, and all of a sudden he boosts out, he boops somebody, he charges ult, and then he gets a mega, and then he's like right back in the same spot. Every time I watch him play, I'm like, how does he know where that one is?
Yeah, he is really great in the way that he gets around the stage.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Just genuinely just a good technical player on his champ pool.
Well, I do want to talk to you a little bit around kind of the rest of the year, because now that ends our journey in ABC Overwatch, but what do we still have to look forward to?
So this is the homecoming. There'll be a spring ABC, and we'll get to run it back and do it again. A lot of really good teams, but we like that we've climbed into this neighborhood of the top 10. And honestly, you know, our only losses this year have come to Maryville, Northwood, UT Dallas, which is exceptional, and of course American Tornado, the ISU team that is no longer. But we really like these. So we've got a few to finish up this semester. Just some tournaments here and there. We've got some goals to try to bring home the trophy in those. This was probably the biggest collection of great talent, but we've got some more that we're going to try to hit. And we've got another one that starts up on Wednesday of next week, just 4 straight weeks, and we like our chances in that 15,000 in scholarship available for that one.
That's going to be very fun to watch. And overall, just outside of Overwatch, what else do Boise State fans have to look forward to for the rest of the semester?
Oh my gosh! I mean, we're just constantly playing, right? We're constantly playing and tuning up the space. I know we're going to host a bunch of great events coming up. So if you're not already a sub, just free sub us or do whatever you need to do. Just stay tuned in and watch. A lot of people working hard, doing cool stuff. I do have to say this. That Dan Clark is someone I really admire and respect and have gotten to know really well. And it's fun for us to be able to take a game this seriously, to prepare as much as we have, and to be able to have the types of success that we thought we could have if well prepared. And it means more to me because of who the director of the program is and how good they are at finding amazing talent and bringing them in. It just is it tells me we have a lot of the right people in place to do the great stuff that they're doing, just because we respect the opponent so much.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining in with us, Doc. We will see what the rest of the semester has to offer. Again, I'm sure you and the players could do with a little bit of a break, so we will let you get to resting for the ride.
No break.
As he yells to all the players who have beelined out of the arena to get a nap. But overall, we have had a great night tonight. Thank you for joining us, Doc, and thank you, all of you watching right now, for joining us. We will be back next week with more esports action. Boise State Esports, you're not going to want to miss that. Until then, we hope you have a good night and stay safe.